Hello and welcome back, guys, to One Piece chapter 1014. And Jesus Christ, there's so much that happens this chapter and there's a lot to cover, so let's just get right into it. So we start off the chapter with Luffy continuing his fall from Onigashima and Kaido kind of going on with his inner monologue. And Kaido here drops two giant pieces of information. One is way bigger than the other one, but first off, he does say Gomu Gomu no what? What the fuck is he trying to do here? So I believe in the second round when Luffy fights Kaido again, or the third or fourth, whatever round you count it as, Luffy is going to use that attack, and Kaido's gonna be like, oh, that was the shit he pulled earlier, and Luffy's going to properly code it in Supreme King's Haki. I believe that the reason why Kaido mentioned that final attack Luffy performed, and the fact that Luffy cannot properly use Supreme King's Haki yet, I believe in the second round, Luffy's going to use the same attack, but code it well. Because you gotta remember, Luffy literally just learned this shit maybe 5 minutes ago, so he's not gonna be good at it just yet. But with Luffy's exponential rate of growth and how strong he's getting every single chapter, I believe in the next round he's gonna use whatever attack it was that he used on Kaido, he'll code it well, and then KO, goodbye Kaido. So that's the first piece of information. The second piece, he mentions JoyBoy, which this has been the lingering lore of One Piece. JoyBoy has been with us all the way since Skypiea. Some could argue even before that. But we know absolutely zero but all about JoyBoy. Who the fuck is he? What is he? And today we learned that JoyBoy is actually not a person, but more so a title. JoyBoy is a title given to somebody, which, you know, obviously we don't know anything still, but we do know that it's a title, which is, I guess, the most we've learned all year. This might sound a little bit cheesy and like an ass pull, but if a man that smiles like this doesn't become JoyBoy, then I honestly don't know who will. That being said, though, I wonder why Kaido seems a little bit depressed that Luffy didn't become JoyBoy. Maybe Kaido is waiting for this specific person to join forces with him, or maybe Kaido is hoping to become that JoyBoy figure. That we have no idea. Until we get some Kaido backstory and until he actually explains it to us, we just don't know what his motivations are or why he wants to build such a great army. Because we know that in the beginning of Wano, we learned that Kaido is gathering a huge force. He wants to conquer the world. But why? Why does he want to get such a huge pirate group? Maybe he learned that JoyBoy was this guy who, you know, brought everybody all together and then he fought off this impending force, which we all know that JoyBoy did in the Void Century. But what if that's what Kaido was trying to become? What if Kaido was trying to become JoyBoy? When he saw Luffy gather all the samurai and the minks and everybody all around him, maybe he was like, oh shit, maybe he's the real JoyBoy and I'm not. So we have no clue. How does Kaido know about JoyBoy? Well, because he was on Rox's ship and he also has a poneglyph in his basement. So there you go. And plus, you gotta imagine, Kaido is like 40 plus years old. Like, this guy is pretty fucking old at this point. So obviously he would know a lot about the history of the world. Also, Kaido is a Yonko. He's an Emperor of the Sea. I would be surprised if there wasn't a Yonko right now that did not know about JoyBoy, or at least a little bit about him, and a guesstimate as to what the Void Century was and what happened there. And also, one last thing before we move on, but why does Kaido bring up JoyBoy now? What happened during this fight that Kaido was like, yep, Luffy is not JoyBoy at all? So, there's two options here. First one is that Kaido's like, oh, Luffy is way too weak. You know, he can't beat me. He can't take over the world. He can't become JoyBoy. There's no fucking way. Or what if Kaido's looking at Luffy fall into the ocean and he's like, yeah, nobody's going to save him. Zunisha's not here. The Sea Kings aren't helping him. There's no way he's JoyBoy as well. So those are my two options there. I'm leaning towards the fact that Luffy couldn't beat Kaido and Kaido's like, ah, yeah, Luffy's way too weak. He can't do anything. That's why I think Kaido says that Luffy can't become JoyBoy. But I've also heard people speculate saying, oh, maybe it's because Luffy can't control the ocean water. Maybe because the Sea Kings can't show up and help him. I'm not too sure. But also, later in the chapter, Momonosuke does hear a lot of voices, and Momonosuke is like losing his fucking mind. This happened when Zunisha was trying to talk to Momonosuke. But also, we know that the voice of all things also connects to Sea Kings. So what if the Sea King theory is still alive, and before Luffy actually hits the ocean, the Sea Kings come up to save Luffy and bring him ashore? I feel like that's going to be my personal guess. I would love to see Zunisha here. Zunisha could probably just one-shot the entire Onigashima. But realistically, though, I think Zunisha can't possibly make it up that waterfall. There's just no fucking way. I would say that she could, like, you know, obviously, like, move her elephant legs all the way up and get on there, but I'm sure everybody would have heard by that point. I've said that last chapter, I'll say it again. But yes, I do not believe Zunisha is on her way. I believe more realistically, Momonosuke is hearing the voices of a lot of Sea Kings, and they're gonna be the ones that help Luffy. The light's back on. Sorry about that, guys. I looked at the camera and it was like pitch fucking black. And literally, I swear, like 2 seconds ago, the sun was shining so brightly into my apartment that I looked like a fucking ghost caught on camera, like a 3 a.m. YouTube video or some shit. But lo and behold, the light's back on. The clouds are covering the sun, and there's now a tornado warning in Oklahoma. But whatever, we're going on with the video. So next up, we have Yamato currently running to the rooftop to find Kaido, and Kaido is coming down from the rooftop to find Momonosuke. Very unfortunate. It's almost like a Scooby-Doo moment where the villain is going that way and Scooby's going that way, and somehow they don't see each other. But yes, Yamato is currently heading to nobody, and hopefully she realizes that. Hopefully she's like, wait, I hear a dragon down here. What's happening? Is that my dad? Hopefully she realizes that, and she has a pretty cool entrance later on. But let's be real here. If she would have stuck with Momonosuke, then this chapter, we would have had the Yamato and Kaido fight that we've been waiting for. We would have had that confrontation. The person taking the club by the end of this chapter would have been Yamato instead of Kinemon, if Kaido would even attack Yamato to begin with. We don't really know their dynamic quite yet. All we know is that Yamato is like in a rebellious teenage phase, and we don't know because Kaido hasn't really mentioned Yamato before. He mentioned, was like, oh, where's Yamato at? Where is he at? What's happening with my son? And then Yamato is literally like nowhere to be found. But with that being said, Momonosuke reads Oden's journal and he finds out his purpose in life. He's like, yo, I can't die anymore. I know what I have to do. Which, it could be a couple things. I feel like Oden wrote like, hey, Momonosuke, I'm gonna die any day now, and I need you to become the Shogun of Wano. You need to become the Shogun so that you can open up the lands of Wano. You have to be ready for when JoyBoy arrives, and you have to welcome him with open arms. But if that's the case, then Momonosuke must know the importance of JoyBoy, or at least Oden must have wrote who JoyBoy is and what they play in the role of the world. Or we can go a different route, and he says, hey, like, this is Kozuki's history, this is what happened in the Void Century, and we need to make amends for that. We have to fix everything that we've done. Or maybe he's even like, hey, I know where the ancient weapons are, and there is one here in fucking Wano, so I need you to guard that, Momonosuke. It could be one of those three things, or even a mixture or a combination of all three of those. But with that being said, we really don't know, because Momonosuke, in the most crucial of moments, doesn't say anything. This kid is the biggest blue ball cock cage tease I've ever seen. I watched the anime. I rewatched the Wano's arc because I love this arc. This is my favorite arc. And I swear, every time Momonosuke is up here and whenever he's up to bat, the guy just doesn't swing. The guy lets all the baseballs fly right past his fucking head. Oh, man. It kind of grinds my gears, but I also have to remember that this kid is like maybe 8 years old, if even that. So obviously I don't blame him, but Jesus, like every time he gets important information or whatever he needs to say something, he has to, something happens, something interrupts him, which this chapter, it's the voice of all things, and he hears a bunch of things happening. He hears a lot in his head and he can't control it, which I don't blame him. But also everybody's like, Momonosuke, what's happening? What are you reading? Who's talking to you, Momonosuke? And the kid just doesn't do anything. I watched the episode the other night, or the newest episode of One Piece, where Kaido is holding Momonosuke over the rooftop, and Kaido's like, boy, what's your name? You know, fucking choking him by the throat. Momonosuke's looking like a fucking pufferfish. And Momonosuke's like, my name is Dad! Help me! It hurts a little bit, man. Like, he was about to say Momonosuke and he doesn't. He was about to say what was happening in the journal and he doesn't. He was about to say what's happening in his head and he doesn't. Momonosuke, he's a kid, so I'm giving him all the free passes in the world. But please don't do this anymore. I can't take it. I can't take it, Momonosuke-sama. But also, when you think about it, if there's ever going to be a giant time skip in One Piece, if there's a 20-year time skip in One Piece, or if there's like a sequel of One Piece, do you know how badass and overpowered Momonosuke is poised to be? Not only does he have the voice of all things, but he's gonna be the Shogun of Wano. He has the Akazaya 9 training him. He's Oden's son. He has Luffy here with him. Like, bro, like, Momonosuke is poised to be a fucking main character in his own series somewhere down the line. I just gotta say. But anyways, on to the next panel, which I think is insane because, oh my god, Oda, I swear, he is just making this shit up. He has a dartboard in his room, and he's like, oh, who's gonna fight today? Chopper? Queen? Oh yeah, by the way, Perospero, like, what? How is this happening? Granted, Chopper is losing. Chopper has Perospero's arrows in his back. Queen is kind of laughing off all of his attacks, and there's beast pirates everywhere, just kind of like looking at Queen like, hey, you deserve that, Queen. Ah. And I just gotta say, Chopper, if he gets a new transformation and it's, you know, via Gastino, then this is gonna be pretty cool. I'm excited to see what Caesar has to offer to Chopper's Rumble Ball. So we get a little flashback of Caesar kind of teasing Chopper, saying, hey, you can only last like 3 to 10 minutes. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, what are these Rumble Balls? Chopper, you must be fucking joking. You can last at least 30 minutes with my shit. But also it has some side effects, which we all know that Chopper doesn't give a fuck about the side effects. You remember back in Eni's lobby when he first transformed into Monster Point? Chopper didn't give no fucks. He's like, hey, if it's to save my friends and to defeat this guy, I will gladly take my life. So we all know that Chopper doesn't give a fuck about that. He's gonna take Gastino's balls, and we're gonna see a new transformation pretty soon. Whether or not that's gonna be strong enough to take on Queen, I have no idea. But we also know back when he originally did Monster Point transformation, that was like 10xing his power. Which, granted, I don't know if 10xing Chopper's current power right now would still be enough to take on Queen, but we can guarantee that it'll deal some massive fucking damage. And on to the Perospero note, I'm surprised that he's in this chapter not fighting Marco, because last we saw him, he was like, oh, there's Marco the Phoenix and King and Queen. And this chapter, we learn that he's actually attacking Chopper, but Marco is nowhere to be seen. We see him in a brief little panel, but still nowhere in Perospero's close vicinity. So I'm kind of wondering why Perospero is targeting Chopper, or maybe Perospero is going to be Chopper's actual opponent. We have Candy Devil Fruit Perospero, and we have Candy Lover Chopper. Like, whoa, is this the forbidden matchup? Is this what Oda's been teasing since chapter 10? What's happening here? But with that being said, I'm not too sure whose side Perospero is on, because I also see him attacking Samurai and Beast Pirates, but you could also argue that the Beast Pirates are turning against Queen because Chopper saved him, and they're like, hey, Queen, why the fuck did you try to kill us? So I feel like Perospero is going to be on the Beast Pirates side for now, but like I said, I'm holding out hope that Big Mom and Perospero and the whole Big Mom Pirates, that they'll flip sides and they will become allied with the Straw Hats. I'm just saying that's my Hail Mary. It's not happening right now. It might not happen in 5 chapters, but one day Perospero will become a good guy. Just throwing it out there. So before Perospero can shoot off a volley of arrows onto Chopper and everybody else right now, we have Kaido and Bao Huang leading off some important information, saying that, yo, the scabbards are down, Kaido is up, Luffy's falling to his death. And I love that all the Straw Hats are like, that's bullshit. That is CNN fake news. Like, that is not happening. You even have Marco and you have Law kind of concerned. They're like, oh shit, what's happening here? Like, my plans, what the fuck? Like, Marco, imagine Marco's reaction. He's like, shit, the Straw Hats are dying. Fuck, why'd I come here? I could have stayed in the village. Imagine anybody who, like, came to this fight and they were living like a happy life before. Like, you know, obviously the citizens of Wano, they weren't exactly living the happiest of lives, but somebody like Marco, who was literally chilling at Whitebeard's Island, protecting it from Weevil, and then all of a sudden he's dragged over here, and imagine everybody losing, and it's like, shit, why did I come here in the first place? But obviously, I feel like everybody believes in Luffy. Nobody believes this fake news. There is some truth to it because Luffy did lose again, but we all know that Luffy is gonna stand back up and he's gonna beat some ass. I love the unwavering faith of the Straw Hats. Like, nobody has doubted Luffy at all. I mean, obviously, they seem shocked by the news, but you could tell that they still believe that Luffy will make a comeback, and I feel like that's the most important part. And I love this because it's back, like I said, it's back to what Kaido said a couple chapters ago, that unless he cuts off Straw Hat's head and shows it to them, nobody's gonna believe that Luffy is down for the count. Which I love that even fucking Kaido realizes that. He's like, yo, like, oh man, there's something about this damn kid, man. There's something about him. So on to the final parts of the chapter where this is just painful, man. Momonosuke is hearing the voices in his head, which, like I said, it's either Zunisha or the Sea Kings. I'm leaning towards the Sea Kings because he says voices instead of voice. So I think that's my hint that it's going to be the Sea Kings that helps Luffy rather than Zunisha, the giant elephant, climbing up the waterfall onto Wano and saving them all without earthquakes happening around him. But yes, I believe Sea Kings are coming. And now we have Kanjuuro being an asshole. I cannot imagine this. Dude, not only did he take down Ashita, which, you know, obviously, I'm still holding out hope. Ashita and Okiku, they're both still alive. I'm holding it out there. I just cannot see them dying before Wano is taken back. I just can't see that happening. Just throwing it out there. I can't even see Kanjuuro dying. I believe Kanjuuro still might be fucking alive. I can imagine him and Orochi in a jail cell by the end of Wano. But yes, Kanjuuro pull off a dirty move. He disguised himself as Odin, and Okiku, even though she knew that it was Kanjuuro, she just couldn't bring herself to attack him just so straightforward, which I do not blame her. Imagine, like, dude, you haven't seen Odin in, I guess, I was about to say 20 years, but granted, she time skipped. So Odin was literally there maybe 2 weeks ago in her perspective, right? Like, it wasn't that long ago since she last saw Odin. So the death of Odin hasn't truly sank in yet. And seeing Odin and seeing him say, oh, like, I raised you and Izo, do you remember that? Like, I don't blame her for faltering and being stabbed. And I just gotta say, fuck you, Kanjuuro, man. Holy shit. I'm glad that he's down for the count. There's no way that Kanjuuro is gonna stand back up after that double page spread of Kinemon cutting this man in half. There's no fucking way. Which I gotta say, the last 2 pages of this chapter are fucking godlike. We have Kinemon just coming down with the force, cutting Kanjuuro, and Kanjuuro the man just doesn't go down with grace. He says, like, this is amazing, like, we're best friends and you had to cut me down, like, what poetic justice. God, and Kinemon's over here fucking bawling because he's like, dude, you could tell Kinemon actually fucking loved the man. Well, you know, not romantically, but just like, yo, like, this is my dude. Like, we've been through so much shit together. And he's bad. I cannot believe that after all these years, Kanjuuro is a bad guy. Like, it's just ridiculous to me how... I understand that Kanjuuro went into the Akazaya 9 with bad intentions, but they've been together for years and years. They've literally slept, and shat together. And he's like, oh yeah, fuck these guys still. Like, how? Like, is your bloodline that important? These are your friends. They took care of you, man. So I can't believe it, man. I feel like Kinemon and everybody else has such a soft heart that they might actually, like I said, by the end of the arc, I feel like Kanjuuro, they're gonna try to rehabilitate him. They're gonna be like, yo, like, they're either gonna ship him off to Impel Down, or they're gonna keep him in a prison and be like, hey, like, we're gonna help you get back to normal, Kanjuuro, even though it was like a fake normal. But regardless, I'm going on too long about that. On to the final part of the chapter, which I think is insane. Yo, I'm looking at it right here, and this shit is wonky. Kaido, my man, why did you have to come in here with the heat? I don't understand. He could have just done a normal Kanabo attack. He could have just hit him, would have been KO'd, done. Like, Kinemon, he wouldn't be a problem anymore. But he came in here with the Supreme King's Haki. Dude, a couple chapters ago, when Big Mom used COC on page 1, that was too much. We still haven't seen from page 1 after that. And now here we are. We have Kaido using COC on Kinemon? Bro, if page 1 couldn't stand back up from this, and that man is a Zoan Devil Fruit user. Granted, I don't think he's awakened just yet, but still, like, I think page 1 is stronger than Kinemon. You know, dare I say. That's just me throwing it out there. I believe page 1 might be stronger than Kinemon, or at least like near equals. But the fact that Big Mom hit him with COC, and we haven't seen him for weeks now. And the fact that Kaido hit Kinemon with COC, will we see Kinemon by the end of the series? Jokes aside, that is a heavy fucking blow, dude. That looks like some Negan punishment shit. It is ridiculous. Like, it's so bad. it's such a power gap that when I read the comments, people were genuinely concerned if Kinemon is still alive. Like, people are suggesting that the man just died. Like, the guy just doesn't exist anymore. It's crazy. Oh man, you don't see his head. You don't see his upper body in the last panel. It's just gone. Overshadowed by Kaido's giant kanabo. And I just gotta say, you see Kinemon's sword breaks. So we see his swords break, right? So if he does survive this, then Kinemon cannot fight because he doesn't have any swords. Unless he picks up some random swords, which I can't see happening. Kinemon is down for the count. This could be lead up for Yamato coming back. Maybe she hears it and she's like, wait, I recognize that sound. And then she comes back down here and she saves the day. Or maybe Momonosuke transforms, or maybe Luffy shows back up, which I can't see happening because he's so far down. Somebody has to save him, and we need an entire chapter of Luffy flying back up to Onigashima before Luffy comes into action. Like, right? Like, we're not going to see that man for a minute. So who's going to save the day here? Sanji and Zoro are at the live stage. Everybody is pretty much fighting their own matchups at this point. Who is going to save Kinemon besides Yamato? Because I have no clue. But with that being said, what if Kinemon actually is still up and at him after this? What if, like, even with no swords, Kinemon is like, yo, Kaido, come at me, bro. Like, I still got this. Which, ooh, boy, I cannot imagine this. I feel like we might have a redo of what happened in the current episode of One Piece, where Kaido is choking out Momonosuke, and he's like, oh, what's your name again, son? I didn't catch it the first time. Like, I could see that happening. Or maybe he does that, and then this time around, when Momonosuke calls for his daddy, Yamato shows up instead, and he's like, I'm your dad, Momonosuke. I got you, son. But with that being said, there is no break next chapter, so that's hella hype. Also hella unfortunate for me. So next week, I probably won't do a video, or if I do a video, it might not be until like next Monday, unfortunately. Mainly because I'm going to be out of town. I'm not going to be home. No computer, no internet. So rest in peace to the videos. But I'll be back, and I'll probably make a very late chapter review of the next chapter, and then obviously the one after that. But with that being said, thank you for watching the video up until this point. I think this chapter was a fucking 10 out of 10. I cannot imagine a better chapter than this. Like, Wano, ever since the Onigashima raid, has been nothing but absolute fucking bangers. Every chapter better than the last. And Oda is really putting in the work here. The artwork is fucking ridiculous. The events are fucking ridiculous. And this solidifies why One Piece is one of the best mangas out there. If you're new to One Piece and you just come into this, you're like, what the fuck is happening? It doesn't look that good. Fair. But if you've been following One Piece for 1,000 fucking chapters, you cannot deny that you're so invested in it that it's just gonna be like the best manga by the time it's done, if not already. But anyways, guys, what do you think about the chapter? Let me know in the comments down below. It was fun talking to you guys, fun making these videos. My name is Sai, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks because, like I said, I won't be here next week. So, see ya.